You bring the energy, he'll do the rest. Martinez Company, powered by Sports Radio 102.9 The Game.
You're going to hear it right here.
The show starts now.
Well, here we are again. Yes, it is Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, and welcome to Martinez Company here live on the Coastal Sports Network. Of course, all brought to you by Sports Radio 102.9 The Game. You guys always remember to go over to sr1029thegame.com as you see it there on the top of the screen, and you can check out all the latest content that we have here on the network. You guys just heard Pete Shepard, who starts off the morning here on the network from 7 to 10 a.m. Myself here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to 12. The Drive with Q, who is back for the 2 full solid hours once again this evening. That will be from 4 to 6 p.m. You guys can catch his radio-only program days, which is on both Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 6 p.m. So you guys can catch it there. But nonetheless, and I'm sorry, as I'm getting a couple of things here across the screen. I want to make sure that everything's okay. But also don't forget, I don't know why the other two went away, but nonetheless, don't forget you can also listen into anything that goes on via the digital download sports app that is right on the homepage. So you guys go on the homepage, you can always end up interacting with everything that we do here on the network. Also, later on this afternoon, it'll be Bees World from 6 to 7:30 this evening. And then capping off the rest of the night will be Talking Hoops. They are back since the last show in 2024. So Coach Mack, Coach Johnson, and of course, Doc Riley. And I'm quite sure there's a lot of basketball conversation that will be happening because there's been a lot that's been going on. So also calling in at about 10:45 or so in the morning will be the guys from the City Garage Motorsports. Stuart and Jason will be on with me. That'll be about 10:45 and 11 o'clock-ish this morning on the City Garage Motorsports. And speaking of, you guys, if you want to get your company logo on the car, you can sponsor CGM Racing. And all you have to do is reach out to Jason. They put out and I retweeted it as well. They put out a tweet this morning also on Instagram. $250 will get your name, your brand on the car. So don't forget that the Arkham and Art Series, the first race of the year, will be broadcasted on Fox. So I want you to think about that for a second. Here's an opportunity for your company logo as they go down. If you guys are not NASCAR fans, I want to say at least 99% of the times before the race begins, they always take a walk down pit row. And when they do, go on and gas pump guy. I am good. Hopefully you're doing good as well. But as you go down pit row, what you guys will end up seeing is that every logo that's up on the cars, that's a great opportunity for your logo to be out there. Of course, Orlando Health that's who powers City Garage Motorsports. They are the primary sponsor, so they would have, rightfully so, the logo on the deck lid, up on the roof, on the side of the car, because you always want your primary sponsor to be showcased the most, because that's why they pay the money to go out there and sponsor the car. But, it doesn't have to be something super big, just right across. Matter of fact, even when Jason was describing the video this morning, talking about how the logos are placed on the car, you guys can see Auto Racing Digest is right up there. So that's the nice part about it. You guys can, again, reach out to Jason. It is not that hard to do. $250. Some people have spent it on goofier things, but here's an opportunity for you not only help out a local race team out of Lakeland, Florida, but especially for City Garage Motorsports. They are our great partners here on Sports Radio 102.9 The Game, and I'm pretty sure you guys will have a great time with the segments that we have. Fast Chat with CGM, that'll be coming about 10:45 to 11 o'clock hour. So we'll get into more of that a little bit later on, as Joey B says, good morning. Angel, 2 degrees here in Colorado. Ouch. Enjoy your sunny, warm palm tree views there in Florida. Well, we are only right now, Joey, which is still good. Don't get me wrong. 45 degrees north of where you are, 2 degrees. I don't miss it. Jerry from Rhode Island sent me a message this morning saying if I wanted to jump on I think he said it was about 22 And he was probably being considered because it probably feels like minus 22 up there in New England. But listen, to all the guys and girls that are out there on the boats who provide obviously meals for us, for the fish out there in the sea, unlike, who was it? Jessica Simpson, who said it's chicken of the sea. She didn't realize there was chicken in the sea. It's not the case. When is it going on? Guess some guy. That's a good question. It's a good question. Maybe I'll have an answer for you here coming up shortly, but that is a very good question. So just stay tuned and you'll probably find out when the logo is going up in there on the car. But, when people do their boating expeditions, the guys and girls that own boats and go out there and find, obviously meals for us, it's not the easiest thing in the world, especially when it's cold. It's different in the summer storms, at least down here in Florida. But I would imagine in the wintertime, going on the boat, you're on the water, just brr. Nah, no thanks. So Joey, hopefully you'll stay warm. I don't miss it. It was fun to visit Denver last summer for a wedding that we attended, but in the wintertime, no thanks. I'm good. All right. Don't forget, you guys can always text and or call the show at 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. And for the first time, the broadcast is being placed on our Facebook Coastal Sports Network Facebook page. If you guys have not followed that page, do me a favor, give us a like and follow over there on the Coastal Sports Network Facebook page. We do appreciate it as we try to gain more and more folks. Of course, you can always follow all of us on the network. If you guys go to sr1029thegame.com, look on the individual buttons. For example, you can go over to Martinez Company because I'm on live now. My social media handles to my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook is up there, so you guys can give me a follow. And as always, we always welcome the messages that you guys put across the social media. And over on the text line at 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. Good morning to all, says Rick. And Rick's another guy, too, because he's out there on a tarmac at the Tampa International Airport. And I'm pretty sure, granted, if he was in Philly, it'd be a whole different story. But nonetheless, people get mistaken down here in Florida. It gets chilly because we're constantly surrounded with moisture in the air. And that's what makes it even colder. And this morning, as I looked out the studio window, folks walking around, they had on, I wouldn't say like complete winter gear, but, the hoodies are over their head. They got some gloves on and stuff. And it'll warm up, but it's only about 55 degrees where I get up to today. But speaking about warming up, now, I don't know, and you guys heard me on Pete's show this morning. Pete had mentioned that so far Nick Sirianni has not had Jalen Hurts out there for practice. Here's my thoughts, and I had touched upon this yesterday, a little bit on Pete's show as well, is that to me, and by the way, I'm pretty sure my Mano on the drive with Q from 4 to 6 p.m. this evening, he's going to have a lot more to talk about this as well. If we get any more updates as the show progresses, Jalen Hurts right now is a little bit banged up, and he is dealing with the concussion protocol. In my opinion, it's only, Wednesday. So we still have tomorrow. We still have Friday. I know and by all means, the Eagles are not taking Green Bay lightly. Now, there's a difference between September when things kicked off in Sao Paulo compared to now. Also, Jordan Love is a little bit backed up. The backup quarterback is a little bit banged up. So it's that time of the year where we go through these situations in the NFL. Am I completely worried that Jalen Hurts will not be out there on Sunday? Now, people probably think I'm being sarcastic this morning, but I've given Nick Sirianni a lot of crap. That's for sure. I think that Nick truly has a plan in place if Jalen cannot start. Tanner McKee right now looks really good. And I think with having Saquon rested him up, a couple of the receivers as well being rested up, Dallas Goedert coming back, there is a plan in place, and I am going to give 100% confidence, and I haven't all season long, but I'm going to give 100% confidence that Nick Sirianni has a plan in place for Tanner McKee. Kenny Pickett is dealing with bruised ribs. I don't think they want Kenny Pickett to go down. God forbid that Tanner McKee goes down. So I know there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to be worried that if without Jalen Hurts, this team won't be able to win. Now, course, last week's game meant absolutely nothing. It's meaningless. It was against the Giants, and not because it was the Giants. It didn't mean anything for the Eagles, truthfully. Whether they won or lost, they were already in. But the way the team looked last week, Giants truly were trying to play their best because no one wants to go into the offseason. If you're not going into the playoffs, you don't want to go into the offseason on a losing record, or a losing note, I should say. You're already obviously with a losing record, but on a losing note. So to me, I am not overly concerned when it comes to Jalen Hurts because, as I've stated before, if at one point or another the Eagles come out with I'm not even going to say a fast start, obviously a much better start than what they've had in the past. But if they can come up with a semi-great start in the game, my thing is that they'll be just fine with Tanner McKee. Now, I know others, I'm pretty sure in Philly radio's probably going bananas. Who knows what the fan base is saying? They're probably saying, they can't win without Jalen. I am convinced that the Eagles can. I'm convinced that Tanner McKee will get the job done, along with Saquon, along with their O-line, and along with our defense. Everybody knows what's at stake. The playoff is you're in, you win, you keep, you stay in. You lose, you go home. It's that simple. Seeing what happened to the Eagles last season, the slow start, what it was to the season, and now at the rate that they're going, they want to do it. Also, you've heard from many people. There are a lot of folks who are saying, including Beeve, which his show will be on at 6 o'clock this evening with his guests as well. But the one big thing is that people will say, well, if let's just say, and who knows the way the season is going to work out after who wins this, this wild card weekend. But let's just say the Eagles get the opportunity to play in the Bucs. Everybody keeps saying, the Eagles, nobody wants to play the Bucs. Here's the way I see it. If you rest up Jalen because he's not feeling 100%, and you do the best you possibly can, Eagles squeak off a win, I would rather have Jalen Hurts healthy and ready if the Eagles have the opportunity to play in the Bucs. We've known they've come down here before. We know that Bucs have had their numbers for the past couple seasons. We also know that the Eagles are coming back to Tampa Bay come next season. But to me, I'd rather have 100% Jalen Hurts than a Jalen Hurts. And a lot of folks have forgotten that Jalen also had his bell rung in college. So this is something that he's been dealing with for a while. And maybe the NFL, as I keep preaching every single week, will finally do something with these concussion protocols. I understand they got the new device where you can basically put it over the helmet and it still has a logo, and it's still supposed to at least be able to absorb more of the impact, but you still shouldn't be leading with the head. The same way with these guys and these crazy, obnoxious tackles. I don't know when it's going to be the right shoulder or the left shoulder that one of these days someone's going to end up busting open because it's a lot of shoulder tackling. So I'm not too worried about Jalen Hurts. I'm not. And it feels weird to even say that because everybody knows the way I felt about my Birds. But I feel confident enough that Nick Sirianni is going to get the job done. I'm confident enough that Tanner McKee is going to get the job done. Playing against Green Bay, I'm not taking that lightly whatsoever. Rick says, I agree with McKee being able to get the job done. Bucs at Eagles would be a fun game to watch. Absolutely indeed, especially down there at Tampa Joe's, our beautiful sponsor here on the network. But listen, it would be entertaining. Nonetheless, it would be entertaining. Baker Mayfield, and by the way, Sean was, who was it? Someone was getting the nod. Gas pump guy, you got to remind me, who was the one that, I think the Bears had reached out to Sean for an interview possibility. And I think myself and Gas Pump Guy will say that we hope, we want, listen, everybody wants, coordinators, guys who well-deserving move up, but that would be yet another coach that would have to be replaced if another one comes out of the Tampa Bay tree. Yes, the guest coming on right now, coach from the Wesley Chapel Kings. He'll be back. He should be back with me here next week. My apologies for not reaching out to him, but he should be back with us come next week. So the guest list is, so Fast Chat with City Garage Motorsports. They'll be on between 10:45 and 11 o'clock. So that's when that is the great guest that'll be on with me today. Excuse me. The next guest won't be until, actually, speaking about guests, let me put that out there. Jermaine Jones, former NBA great, will be on with my Hermano on the Drive with Q. He should be on about 5:05 this evening. And then let me look back because I want to make sure I get the name right. As Jay had told me yesterday, our guest tonight will be Gary Myers, formerly who played with the New York Giants, also a Hall of Fame ballot voter. He will be on with us this evening. That will be somewhere around the 6:30-ish time frame. I'm trying to remember too, guess from guy. I think it was, I want to say it was Chicago. May have had the opportunity because that's the other interesting thing. Because, and I was just about to talk about it, Rick brings it up as well. Interesting how Dallas denied McCarthy an opportunity to talk to the Bears. I find it beyond interesting as well because you have, and if you guys missed it, I'll play back what Pete and I played this morning on the show, but Mike McCarthy, technically and truthfully, his contract is up. That's it. He's already committed. He already, he didn't get fired, didn't get let go or anything else. So his contract commitment is done. The Bears have up till January 14th to offer him either A, a new contract, or B, bring him back. Let him go. That would be both of them the same. But to be able to let him go. Are they going to do it? And if the Bears take their time, because after the 14th, there's nothing that Dallas can do. And who knows if they're just doing smoke and mirrors, because do they have somebody in place? If the person they have in place, if they're not willing to come to the Bears, what's going to happen? Who the heck knows? But for me, I think it's wrong for the Bears to deny McCarthy the opportunity to be able to at least have him, hear what he has to say. Even if Dallas, if they believe in McCarthy that much, why don't you already make a contract extension for him? If you believe in him that much. But this, to me, is another smoking mirror by Jerry Jones. And then poor Mike McCarthy won't have had the opportunity. But if I'm the Bears, because again, you guys heard the Bears GM said that he's going to, what was the word he said? He's basically like a dragnet. He's going to throw it out there. And the only people that we want are the people who believe in the Chicago Bears, believe in the city, and believe in that team. Problem that you have, Bears, is that you guys hung on to Matt Eberflus for 2 seasons too long. And I don't know why it took you so long this year. And listen, everybody knows you can go 3-0 in the preseason. That means absolutely nothing. Everybody knows this. Who cares? It's preseason football. No one cares. So you had Bears fans who were basically hyped up and thought, wow, maybe Mike Eberflus is a genius. And who knows what happens? Not the case. He was let go. And I believe also the OC was let go. Then they end up, putting the OC as the interim head coach who never gave him the opportunity to be able to shine. And now you don't even know if he's going to be able to come back to show what he actually could do with that OC line. Caleb Williams, I know some folks feel like they're just not all in. I think Caleb Williams is the future quarterback for the Chicago Bears. I felt the same way about Justin Fields. The Bears didn't. Passed him on to the Steelers. Steelers did well with Justin Fields as Russell Wilson was nursing himself back to a healthy status. Now it comes down to, can Russell Wilson stop that 4-game slide for the Steelers and beat the Ravens? Ravens, there was one thing, and I'll see if I can find it again, where they have Lamar Jackson saying that the reason why they haven't been able to pass that hump is because he's been antsy for the game to get there. And that's fine if that's what you want to say. And if I find the article, I'll bring it up to everybody so everybody can hear it. Also, I'll bring up the draft order as well, because I made a note about that as well. But the thing is, you're not, the Bears fans, I hope, and I hope the organization for a whole really wait. And there's no rush. I don't know. There's another thing too. I don't know why there's such a major rush for teams to feel that they need to go ahead and lock up this coach because they'll feel to be lost to someone else. If the Bears feel that McCarthy is a guy, wait till January 15th, wait till the 16th. Hell, I mean, you can pretty much up until you get to the combine. Then figure out what you want to do. But you have someone like the New England Patriots who rushed to judgment, decided to go with Gerard Mayo as soon as Belichick was let go because apparently it was in his contract, he was going to take over. And you got to feel for Gerard Mayo too, because at this point, was he really set up for success or was he set up for failure? There was a report that came out, Pete, I mentioned it this morning as well, that at one of the plane trips coming back from the West Coast somewhere that he wanted to play cards with the guys. Now, I'm a head coach. We just lost. And even if we won, my thing is, let me see what I can look at as far as footage, whether it be in the game we just played, so I can start making mental notes as far as what needs to be cleaned up for the next game, and or how about I'll check out who my opponent is for next week. Because as a head coach, it's the same way like running your own network. There's never a downtime. There's always something that goes on for you to pick up on. Now, if there's breaking news throughout something I'm doing live, it's a whole different story. I'll pick it up through the wire if it comes through. But the Bears need to really do their homework. Pete Carroll now is supposed to be interviewed out there in Chicago. I don't know what Pete Carroll has left, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know what he has left in the tank. Does he have enough to come back and coach? I mean, he was pretty much done with Seattle. And by the way, I believe it was Mike from head coach from Seattle saying that Geno Smith is their guy. That's now. Unless they do something in the draft otherwise. But is Geno Smith going to be as successful as he was, not this past season in 24, but the way he was looking early on in 23? Does Geno Smith have enough left in the tank to be able to take Seattle back to the promised land to win yet another Super Bowl? They had the opportunity, let's not forget with Pete Carroll, to win back-to-back Super Bowls until, for whatever odd reason, Pete Carroll wanted Russell Wilson, just in my opinion, to be the MVP and decided to throw a pass. 2 yards, 3 yards left into the end zone. Hand it off to your guaranteed running back. Nope, let me go ahead and throw a pass. And that's, to me, that's what it felt like. It felt like to me he wanted Russell Wilson to be the MVP instead of Mr. Skittles. I don't get it. But now Pete Carroll will be remembered by that when he speaks to the Bears. Maybe they'll ask him, what were you thinking? What was the thought process behind it? You had a guaranteed touchdown run by the number one running back at that time in the NFL when all he had to do was punch it in, guaranteed and solidified the first back-to-back Super Bowl ever in Seattle's history. But you allowed Tom Brady and the defense to come through and break through at the very end, steal that win from you, and the rest is history. That was, I believe, number 5 for the Patriots at the time? I mean, it's just certain things that makes you want to scratch your head. It doesn't make any sense. So Chicago is going to be looking for someone. The Raiders and Antonio Pierce. And it's the same way. Did Antonio Pierce have enough people behind him to say, hey, listen, I understand you want to do things this way, but we need you to do this way. You know, this versus that. But Antonio Pierce at this point, after having that press conference, what was it on Monday? Saying that he doesn't believe the Raiders are going to get rid of him, that he's going to be just fine. And let's not forget that Antonio Pierce also wasn't the first choice either at the end of last season, because the Raiders are saying, you know, we just want to go in a complete different direction. And not to say that Antonio Pierce could not have hung around, you know, as a coordinator, build up his resume, and then been able to be picked up by another team. So I don't know. And listen, the Raiders is another organization that I don't know what's going to happen with the Raiders. Yes, they had to move from Oakland out to Las Vegas. Beautiful stadium. You know, I was there again for Raider Road this last year in 2024. It was a great time. But the Raiders organization are still in some sort of windfall. It's now the conversation becomes, once again, is there conversations ongoing right now, because college football season, for the most part, at least for the Buffaloes, are over? Do they reach out to Dion? When they look at the draft class, you know, do they steal or trade up from Tennessee to get Shedeur, and then you get the Shedeur-Dion combo out there in Las Vegas. There's been, again, rumors and speculations, the same thing going up to New England. Do they want Deion Sanders up in New England? And Deion's already said he doesn't want to be anywhere north. He's already cold enough in Denver. Granted, not as cold as Joey B had just pointed out. And by the way, buenos dias, Penguin AZ. Appreciate your brother for tuning in. Don't forget, you guys can always go to sr1029thegame.com. You can go to sr1029thegame.com and then obviously watch the show live through the website and or the app. And then if you jump in your car, you can always tune in the radio player that you guys see up there as well. Therefore, you won't miss a thing. And then once you get to your destination, maybe the doctor's office, I don't know, you're getting some rehab, whatever it is, you can switch back to the video player. So we can take it from there, and then always watch and view the content that we have on the Insta replay. New England also is looking to see if they're going to pick up Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel right now is like the hot name in the NFL. And supposed, alleged, Vrabel really wants to be with the Patriots as well. There's a probability and a possibility that the Patriots also wanted to speak to Mike McCarthy. Now, I don't know if maybe Dallas, for some reason, don't want him going to the Bears and prefer for him to go over to the AFC side of the house and go over up to New England. But again, there's going to be coaching vacancies that NFL teams need to take their time and figure out who they want for their next head coach. And that's what they need to do. Just take the time. Take the time, make it better that way. That's all they have to do is just take the time. Also, because I have to send out a link to someone here, we are going to take our first break in the morning. It is 10:36 a.m. here on the East Coast. Of course, 7:36 on the left coast. And for the folks out there in California and out there by the LA region, listen, obviously no one wants to deal with fires. It absolutely stinks when you lose your belongings, your home, and everything else. Let's hope somehow or another, some crazy miracle happens and they can control these fires. But if you are in harm's way, get yourself out of harm's way. This past season, one of the a Category 5 hurricane came to the area here. And listen, we got out of Dodge. So if you live out there in LA, please be safe. But more importantly, if that smoke is getting too close for comfort, that means that fire is not that far behind. Do yourself a favor, pack up your stuff, your animals, things, important documents, everything else you can't take with you. But let's just hope that everybody's safe out there in California. All right, we are going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll get a little bit into the picks and the way they're going to happen for the NFL from 1 to 32. There's going to be some interesting, I'm pretty sure, shuffling of sorts because some teams desperately need a quarterback. Some teams desperately need a wide receiver. So I'm quite sure everyone is going to be shuffling, especially after the draft combine and seeing how these athletes perform to say, you know what, I need to be one instead of Tennessee being one. But right now, the GM for the Tennessee Titans was fired the other day. Tennessee now becomes the number one draft pick in the draft order. And we'll see. Do they take, Shedeur? Do they take Cam Ward? They said they're going to need they need a QB. We'll see. They just drafted one not too long ago. Apparently, they didn't like that draft that they ended up grabbing. All right, we're going to take our break. Don't forget, you guys can call, text the show, 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. We'll be back with more Martinez Company live here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody. It's Pete Shepard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Download the Sports Radio 102.9 FM, the Game app, and tell your friends that Florida has a new leader in digital sports radio.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to Martinez Company here live on the Coastal Sports Network, brought to you by Sports Radio 102.9 The Game, where you guys can visit sr1029thegame.com. Always check out our content up there. As I mentioned earlier, the Drive with Q back today, as he likes to say, back in the saddle from 4 to 6 p.m. Then after him will be Beeves World, myself, and of course Jay, from 6 to 7:30 this evening. And then capping off the night is Talking Hoops, the best basketball crew in the nation, next to TNT, of course, but the best basketball crew, in my opinion, Coach Mack, Coach Johnson, and Doc Riley. Now, I had mentioned beforehand, and I know the guys from City Garage Motorsports, as we have our Fast Check segment, will be coming up shortly, but I want to play this back, as we played it this morning on Pete's show. And this is where, again, Jerry Jones doesn't make any sense, and there's times, like, none of us like to make fun of him, but he really doesn't make sense at all with this one thing, and I don't know why. Going to my, there we go, over to shared side of the house. Let me switch this out because I need to make sure that everybody can, I don't know why in the world it went over that way, but give me a second, folks. All right, listen, I don't know why in the world all of a sudden that went away. What in the world happened here? All right, give me a second, folks. I don't know what happened, but apparently I went away. You guys can see me, but you can't hear me for some odd reason. Nope. Give me a second. I don't know what happened is beyond me. Somehow or another I end up going away. All right, give me a second. Let's do a little refresh here because this doesn't make any sense. Why in the world my picture went away? All right, I'm back. Don't know what happened, but all of a sudden it went away, but it went back. So I couldn't talk to you guys off screen because obviously if I try to talk to you guys off screen, you guys wouldn't be able to hear me. All right, let's try this again as we will get things fired up the right way. Here is the video I was talking about earlier so you guys can see exactly what's going on. Here's the guys from Pat McAfee show, and they talked about when it comes to Jerry Jones and somewhat of a goofy explanation on why in the world people couldn't make sense of what he said. I don't even think Jerry Jones knew what he said as well. What I like about this, if you guys missed it this morning, is Pat McAfee's crew just literally talking about what's in the background. So here is the Pat McAfee show and Jerry Jones with, if you guys make any sense of it, let me know.
Watching Get Up this morning, what a wonderful program you guys have, and learned about this video from Get Up this morning. It was Jerry Jones talking about Mike McCarthy and his contract and interviewing. I'll let Jerry talk because, we can't talk for Jerry.
Jerry, is there a reality where Mike is back with a different offensive play call?
Well, anything is possible. And because of contract status.
The guy behind him.
Most of the fans that I have, most of the fans want everybody to be on the incentive plan. Everybody wants it to be on the incentive plan. And so the more you can have the incentive plan, to me, the better you've got the way sports is aligned with sports and a goal of having accomplishment, and you align that with the financial end of it. For instance, I might say, look, I'm going to pay you this much, but then I'll pay you not anymore, and I know you want twice that.
Okay.
But if you get to the playoffs or you win a Super Bowl, I'll give you 5 times that.
Oh, you play 75%.
The guy across the street might
Fans are wrapping their arms around it from behind him.
Exactly, and then you've got a decision. For sure.
I'm a Kleenex. How can he know that if he's not allowed to talk to you until January 14th?
He's a great actor,
I would say, go talk.
He told Mike McCarthy here to go talk.
I really would. Go talk.
So it sounds like you
I just let Zeke do that.
Gotcha.
Just signed with Chargers.
I don't want anybody here. That's not healthy to have somebody around that wants to be someplace else. Really, it's not. And there's too many ways for everybody to go to be around where you don't want to be.
Of course.
So Greeny, so when Jerry's saying, it's not good to have guys around who want to, does he know that he hasn't given Mike McCarthy an extension or a contract, and he does have to give him permission to go talk, or is he just going to hold him in limbo forever?
Look, it's so hard to have this conversation because I don't want things to sound disrespectful. I think all of us know less about football for having listened to those 45 seconds. There's literally nothing that he just said that made any sense at all. There are so many things the fans would like, but it's just not the way the sport has ever been. Yes, there are incentives, and by the way, the Cowboys actually just made sure that their backup quarterback Cooper Rush
I did not know that. They told me that before the game. I was training. Everybody's calling me
$250,000 incentive.
Now, Gascom guy just said here in a text message, not even Jerry knows what Jerry was talking about. No one knows. I have no idea. Jerry Jones is just, he's really, we make fun of a lot where he's into Jerry's world, but that's where he is. He's in Jerry's world, and I don't get it. Maybe when Stuart here joins me momentarily, maybe he can make sense of it, even though he walked in at the the other part of the conversation. But nonetheless, listen, Jerry Jones, every single time, it just seems to give it just a little more, I don't know if the word skittish is even right to say. Jerry Jones has not a clue of what's happening. I don't know why. It's beyond me, but nonetheless, it's something else. But joining me right now is you guys have heard the first segment before the Christmas break, and I am absolutely thrilled to be partnered up with City Garage Motorsports and joining me via video from the headquarters. First of all, let me say this, Stuart. That hat, I'm just saying, I need to pick one up when I go up there to the garage. But first of all, Happy New Year. Welcome back here. As the last time we had you guys on the road up to North Carolina, we saw the restaurant where you guys stopped at to have some food. But more importantly, now the car is back in Lakeland. All the decals are being put on. It's all powered by Orlando Health, of course, more importantly. But man, oh man, it is getting closer and closer. And Daytona practice week. I'll just make it practice week. It's 2 days, but it seems like it's going to be a week by the time you guys are testing. But first of all, Stuart, how are you? And welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been crazy. But we're excited. Not getting much sleep, but car is ready to go. She's a beast. We named her Storm for a reason because she's gonna be something. We're excited.
Where you're going to have Becca behind the wheel, which, of course, I keep saying that at one point I'm racing Becca for the car, one of the two. But even she can put me in, and there is no trunk, folks. Let me just put it out there. But even if she put me in the trunk where the fuselage is, I'm fine. I just put on a little mask and I'll be fine racing around the track. But it's coming up, and it's interesting to see. I mean, you guys have done a lot of work in a short amount of time because, I mean, it's a quick turnaround. From the time you guys were in North Carolina, which was just about maybe 2 weeks ago. Now you have it on the lift. You guys are putting everything back together as far as, the body, which had to be obviously fabricated. It had to go through its testing phase. Now you come back and you start putting the decals on the car. I want you to explain to the folks as well, whether they're NASCAR fans or not, or if it's the first time they're getting into the ARCA Menard series, how much goes into, because again, it's the weight and balance of the car. If a weight of just a decal is off as much as 1/10%, could NASCAR flag you guys for that vehicle?
Yeah, I mean, we are very heavily regulated. Obviously, NASCAR's goal is to make sure everybody's on a level playing field. So, the car's weighted, it's maximum 3,300 pounds. For Daytona, you can have a maximum of 34, minimum 3,300. That's without the driver. That's just the car. Fuel load, fully fuel loaded, everything. It's just like a NASCAR. I mean, these are basically the Cup cars that they ran back, a few years ago. These are Gen 4, Gen 5 cars. NASCAR's running Gen 7 right now. They just came out with a new Gen 7 car. So these are Gen 4, Gen 5. They run the same Elmore engines that the trucks run in the Craftsman Truck Series. This is an old Hendrick chassis, Hendrick Motorsports chassis that we got, and everything on it is brand new, from the body, every piece of equipment that's gone on it. The motor came out of Spire Motorsports, which runs 3 Cup teams. They run, I think, 3 truck teams, very heavily involved. We got the motor from them back in November. We've had this car since middle of November, and we've had to basically build it from scratch with some help from Fast Track Racing. And we're ready. I think we've turned the last screw on it yesterday to get it ready. Now we're just putting the makeup and making her pretty. But she's ready to roll, man. She's mean. She is mean.
Well, the thing is, when you guys go up to Daytona now, it's going to be, what makes it more interesting is that we're normally not this cold this time of the year. I would say by at least about the 70s or so. And now, of course, because the rest of the Northeast, a little part of the Midwest, I mean, it's freezing no matter which way you look at it here in North America. But that also takes into place as well, because when you guys go up there for practice on Thursday and Friday, the setup that you guys will have for, testing on Thursday and Friday, it's going to be completely different when it comes in February, because we know, again, the fluctuation in temperatures here in Florida. But when you go north of Tampa, even north of Lakeland, Florida, which is not far off of Tampa anyways, but anytime you go north of the central part here of Florida, the car setup is going to be different. So what goes into, just from the testing phase, without, giving away any kind of secrets, but how much will you learn from even just, let's just say tomorrow, I think somewhere up north, we're going to be in the mid 40s, maybe hitting 50. So how much will you learn from the temperature difference between, let's just say, tomorrow and Friday compared to when you have to go back up there for qualifications in February?
It will change the setup. It will change how we adjust the car to get more speed out of it for handling. We should actually have probably a little bit more horsepower tomorrow, because the colder the temperatures, the more the horsepower, because as you can think about, oxygen or air is condensed when it's cold. And so the more oxygen and more air that goes into the motor, the more compression you're going to have, the faster it will be. So I would expect that everybody's speeds will be a little bit quicker tomorrow and Friday. The biggest thing is making sure the car handles. When it's cold, obviously you got to get everything up to temperature. You don't want to run motors cold. You don't want to run the lubricants cold. They're too thick. They don't move the motor as well. They don't lubricate as well. So we've got to make sure that everything's up to temperature before we go out. The other thing is we got to make sure that the car is handling. We will have to make some adjustments when we go back in December, in February, but they shouldn't be major adjustments. Tires won't wear as much tomorrow because of the cold track. The rubber's harder, so it won't wear quite as much as they would during a race. Super speedways don't wear tires like short tracks do anyway, so you can get a lot more life out of tires in super speedways. But our biggest thing tomorrow is making sure that everything on Storm is right, making sure all the bearings are right, making sure all the connections for the oil and for the lubricants, for the radiator, all that stuff's working well, making sure that all the cylinders are firing right, make sure the rear end gear is right, make sure we're running the right gear ratio in the rear end for tomorrow, making sure we're making maximum horsepower. We run restrictor plates, so they restrict the amount of oxygen that can go through. The amount of air that goes into the engine is being significantly restricted. So, we want to make sure we maximize every bit of horsepower we can to get speed, because speed is determined based on your horsepower, what the motor's putting out, the gear ratio you're having, because you want that thing running at in your peak gear ratio when you're going around. So you're pulling just as hard as you can with the motor, and also aero. Aero has everything to do with it. So, we want to make sure the car is trimmed out perfectly and still makes, the templates that they have to put on to make sure that we are legal. So all of that is what we'll be working on the next 2 days. And then we're also working on Becca. Becca has run hundreds of short tracks. I mean, she's got the short track down, but she hasn't run a lot on these super speedways, and they are significantly different the way you race them. And so she's got to get used to getting in the draft, getting right on the nose or the tail of somebody else and drafting at almost 200 miles an hour around that track. So we're going to be working quite a bit on drafting with Becca the next couple of days with other teams that'll be there as well.
That's the other question I was going to have as well, because now you're talking about Becca going to the super speedway, learning how to draft. Our teams, and I know everybody's competitive, don't get me wrong, but our teams, are they reluctant to work with someone else at the time, because therefore at the same time too, I'm pretty sure they want to get their cars set up properly come, when everybody comes back for the qualifications in February. But are teams more open to work with someone else, especially if they know whether it's a rookie, someone first time coming into super speedway, even though, like you mentioned, she's been on the short tracks a lot. Are they more open to working with someone non-competitively until you guys go for the qualifications?
Tomorrow and Friday, I think we'll find teams that will be willing to work with us. We've already made some relations and affiliations with some teams that are going to work with us tomorrow. But she's going to be running those yellow rookie stickers on the rear bumper of her car, and because she's riding those, there's going to be some that will be probably hesitant to work with her, prefer to work with some others. But we're going to make sure by the time we get into the race, we have some teams that we can work with, so that she has drafting partners, because you can't. We're not going to make the field because they do pack qualifying, and we won't make the field, and we won't do well if we don't have other teams to draft with. So we will make those connections and make those deals and talk to those people before we ever get to that point, so we know who we can work with.
Now, years ago, with the late, great Dale Earnhardt, people said he could see the draft, and he himself used to say he could see the draft. So it would be interesting to see if somehow or another Becca could, maybe Dale Earnhardt could be the co-pilot inside the car with Becca. And I say that the reason why, because it does take a while. And following NASCAR, every rookie in the rookie season always has their little faults here and there because of how they get lined up in the draft. Obviously, if you come into turn 3, going into turn 4, and depending on where you are on the track the same way, it just takes one shift one way or the other. And I'm not talking about gear shift. I'm just saying that, if you're high up on the track and it hasn't been the best spot of the day, but now you're trying to pass for first or go for first, you could end up sliding as the gravel and as the track starts to wear and the tires start to wear. Now you're up there in the loose gravel. How much is that going to be a factor for Becca as well? Because at one point, I'm quite sure everybody would want her to start figuring out where her place is on the track and then try something low, same way to try something high. How much of that learning curve is she going to have to learn basically between tomorrow and Friday and then leading up to the qualifications?
I mean, it's huge. The whole team is learning. I mean, we're learning. The crew chief is learning. Our spotter, we have a great spotter. Ryan Vargas is coming down. He's run Xfinity. He's well known in the NASCAR industry. He's going to be doing our spotting for us. It's our job to put her in position to be successful. Her job is to drive the car, and she's got to put it where we need it to go. But it's a team effort. She's going to be getting communication from the spotters and from the pit on who to get with, what line to be in, what's the fast line. She's going to be learning all that. Some of it's being in the right place at the right time, hooking up with the right team. But, it's also survival of the fittest. I mean, I'm sure last year on lap number 4, took out 20 cars in the race. So we've got to be smart. One, we've got to make the race. That's our number one priority right now. Thursday and Friday is about making sure we have the speed in the car that we're going to be able to qualify. There'll be 56 cars that are going to go to try to make the field. Only 40 make the field, but 32 on time. 8 will make it by points. Being that we're a new team this year, we don't have any points to fall back on. So we have to be one of the fastest 32 cars to get in the field. So our number one hurdle is we've got to be fast enough. We've got to qualify. Once we qualify, then we go to the second phase, which is strategy. What teams are we going to be able to work with? Hey, when the green flag drops, these 4 teams, these 4 cars are going to line up and draft and try to basically put themselves in the right position to, 1, be able to be in the right position to be able to win, but 2, be able to be in a position where we're not going to get taken out by the big ones. Last year, I think there was 3 big races, multiple car wrecks that took out most of the field last year. So it's a lot of strategy, speed, technical race learning, Becca learning how to handle the draft, because getting in and out of the draft, that wind, the way that it buffets the car, it moves that car around quite a bit. And Becca's got to learn how to handle that coming in and out of the draft when you're passing cars. Where's the best place to do it? The larger the pack, the more that air moves. So you can literally, it makes your ears pop almost like you're in an airplane going up and down, because the buffeting of that air, you get in that pocket, it basically sucks that air around you, suck right up behind the car in front of you. She's got to get used to that and learn how to handle it.
You know, because there is going to be a lot of learning curves, like you said, your crew chief as well. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how this year ends up playing out for you guys with the Arkham Menard series. And for those who are just joining us here, a little bit top of the hour, Coastal Sports Network, and we have Fast Chat with team owner Stewart. I don't like to say his last name, not because I don't like to say it, because Stewart is much faster when you just say Stewart, because everybody remembers Tony Stewart. Yep. So if we're going to go with the fast segment, you know, on the 20 car now, of course, the number 85 car. Stewart joins us here from Lakeland, Florida. And again, it's going to be, the next 2 days are definitely going to be a fit test. Like you mentioned as well for Becca, more importantly. It's going to be a huge fit test for her, but for you guys as well. For those who don't know, that are new to the sport, not only is it expensive for you guys, just a 4-tire change within itself, but as you had just mentioned, God forbid, there is a big one. And we know that there always is in Daytona, no matter what, whether it's the truck series, the NASCAR series, there's always a big one. Explain to people out there so that they know if, you know, just, and it doesn't have to be obviously the exact dollar size or dollar amount, but explain to the folks how much it means when you're not, you know, and now, for example, I'll use Tony Stewart, like back in the day when they had 2 cars in a hauler. They had the backup car, they can bring it out, you know, if they wreck in qualification or something else, not obviously during a race. Once you wreck, you're wrecked out unless they can repair it. But nonetheless, they can still take that other car that's still great and go to Atlanta or somewhere else. You guys don't have that option, at least for the moment. I know you have the 5-0 car that's coming up, the 50 car, but explain to folks how much of an impact it is when you have to get that car ready for your next race.
It's a huge expense. Right now we have 2 cars in our shop that are both the 85. We have a short track intermediate car, which we raced last year. And then we have the new one, which is the super speedway car. These cars are, to do them right, you're 6 figures or more to have these cars. The motors in these cars to race Daytona, these Zilmore motors are $60,000 new. The chassis are professionally built. They're expensive. The bodies on them, just to hang a body on one of these cars is $20,000. So, when you wreck a car like we did at Indianapolis, we basically took all 4 corners off of the car. Car got turned and went into the wall and then got tagged by another car. And we pretty much took out every quarter of the car. Not only the time that it took us about 6 weeks to get it put back together because we're a small team. We don't have, 10 people in the shop working. So, it took us, and then it takes us, that was about a $10,000, $12,000 wreck just to put the body back on. Thankfully, mechanically, it wasn't damaged too bad. But you can destroy 6 figures in a matter of seconds, in these big tracks when they get those big pileups. So it takes a lot to do it. And you got to have a lot of nerve. My wife has a hard time watching it. She goes, "There goes our retirement. There goes our retirement." So she has a hard time watching it, but it's a blast. It's exhilarating if you've never been. And I know you're coming with us this week, so you're going to get an experience like you've never had before. Every sense that you have in your body, it's just the rush of exhilaration is crazy, and it's just a lot of fun.
All right, I will say this, and folks, you got to listen. When you're working in the media and as a broadcaster, there's certain things you tend to have a moment where you can end up geeking out. And believe me when I tell you, if I could put a seatbelt on my chair here in the studio, I would do so, because just partner up with you guys with City Garage Motorsports. It's just like I'm just ready to just be at the track, jump in the car. I know I can't. I'm just saying it, hypothetically, but just to be there, because it's, as a race fan. And Stuart, you know this as well, because I want people to understand too that you've been behind the race wheel yourself. But I want people to understand something. When you team up and you're now involved with a race team, when you've watched it from afar, and now you have the opportunity of watching a team grow, the goosebumps that I get just even talking about it, like I'm literally ready to race to Studio A right into Studio B and just keep going down the golf courses if I possibly can. But, it's exciting because it's the people you surround yourself with. Because, again, you can be with a race team with any race team. With you guys, knowing you and Stuart and Becca when we had the opportunity of interviewing her last year, and I'm quite sure we're going to have a dozen more interviews coming up this year, but just getting to know you guys, the history behind the team. Just even yesterday in that text thread that went on back and forth, and I apologize for not being able to go back because it was just a crazy, insane day for me yesterday. But just the overwhelming feeling that you get. And someone even asked, Gaspam guys said, when's the logo going to be on the car? I'm not saying anything to anybody. All I know is when the logo, and if the logo, I'm not going to reveal anything, but if the logo's on the car, you talk about someone crying at Christmas time because they got the best toy in their life, that'd be yours truly. So hopefully, Stuart, you'll have a box of Kleenex if that's the case, or I'll just use one of the garage shops, the towels there. But, I'm just beyond excited to team up with you guys for this season. I know Auto Racing Digest with Dylan as well will be covering a lot this year going on the track, but this is going to be such an exciting 2025, just a year alone, but the season to be with City Garage Motorsports, it's just going to be so much fun. And speaking of Gas Pump Guy, he just told me that this conversation makes me want to jump in the car and drive fast, LOL.
Don't do it on the street. There's penalties there.
It sure is. But before I let you go, because one is that there are people, you guys can support the team two ways. One is you can, for $250, again, it's still a lot for a lot of folks, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, too, minor in comparison when you start growing through the levels of NASCAR. So for $250, just think of your logo on that car, and Fox has a camera on that car. And think about if Becca pulls off the ultimate win in February, your company logo will be showcased on that car. Of course, Becca's standing outside of it in City Garage Motorsports, and hopefully, I have the opportunity, no matter where Victory Lane is, if I get in there, of course, way out the shot. I'm not going to be like, the Eagles where the security guy is always in the
part of the team. You're in the shot. You're part of the team.
I appreciate it, but it's just for $250, you guys can sponsor the race team. And by the way, for and other folks as well, if you guys know other folks that want to spend more than $250 on a race team, by all means, please reach out to City Garage Motorsports. You guys can go right through it on our website, sr1029thegame.com. Jason's email is up there, so if you guys need more information, Director of Operations with Jason, you can, or go directly to City Garage Motorsports as well. But I want people to understand too, Stuart, is that as you just mentioned too about the retirement of you and your wife, I mean, this is a huge investment that you guys are getting involved with, but you do have history behind the wheel. So at one point or another, I'm just saying maybe if, Becca's feeling a little bit under the weather, could Senor Stewart get behind the wheel and race the 85 car?
I'm not going to lie. I'd love to be behind the wheel this week, but Becca gives us the best chance to be successful as a team right now. I haven't raced in 30 years, and as much of a race fan as I have, I mean, every week I'm stuck to the TV or I'm at a track. She gives us the best opportunity to be successful, and that's my goal as an owner. That's our goal as a team, is to be successful, to represent our sponsors, to represent our team, to go out and have a good time and to perform as best as we can. So, I'd love to be behind the wheel, and I'm not saying I won't be behind the wheel at some point in the future. There's plans, but right now, Becca's our chance. Becca's our future, and so we're counting on her to lead us to a good finish, a good opportunity qualifying for us, and finish in February as well as the rest of the season.
Yeah, I know, and you guys. I'll make sure I'll put the interview back out there with myself and Becca, and Dylan had joined me that day as well as far as the interview. But the big thing is once you guys get to see Becca, it's almost, I want to say, like two different people. And I mean this in a very good way. One is because she's so soft-spoken when you speak to her and when she comes across in the camera. But to watch her as an athlete, which I'll be able to have the opportunity as well, along with everybody else, to see what she does behind the wheel, I can't wait, because I think she is, as you said, she is going to be the future and the face of the company. And you guys are putting your full, complete faith behind her. And she just raced, if I remember not too long ago, too, inside of a truck. Was it about a week or 2 weeks ago?
She Saturday night, she finished second in New Smyrna Beach. And then about 3 weeks ago, she won at Auburndale. So she runs the trucks, the local pro trucks here in Florida, pretty much about every other weekend. She's somewhere racing. So, and she's behind the wheel regularly, and her family are just salt of the earth, rock solid people. I couldn't, God couldn't have blessed us more with the right people. happened. They were in Lakeland. We found that they were racers, and we went and met with them for coffee one day. And then we were at Daytona last year when she was trying to make the race with Harmon Racing, and just kind of developed a relationship. And it's been just an amazing relationship. It's a family. I mean, I think I told you that when we met for breakfast, was that, this really is a family organization. This is not a big, like you'd find at some of these really big organizations that are, it's more of a professional environment. This is a family environment. We are all family. You'll see this week when we stay Thursday and Friday at the track that, we're there supporting and lifting each other up. We all want the same thing. We all want to be successful. We all want to have fun. We all want to be safe. But we have a great time, and it's a great environment. We have awesome, amazing sponsors who are with us that allow us to be able to do this. We need more, but it's just, it's been a great experience. Our team is 9 months old almost, and so we've accomplished a huge amount, Angel, in 9 months, and we're really excited about the future.
Well, Jay says, who's part of Beav's out here, he's also with the network. He says, love the racing angle. Angel, nice work. And follows up, welcome, Stuart. Love the racing coverage, the coverage angle as well. And then nice work. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. Listen, I'm telling you guys have no idea how I am literally reminding myself of why I fell in love with NASCAR in the first place. When people think that it's not a sport, these athletes go through the gauntlet. Mentally, the preparedness to get inside the car, because I want those who have never followed NASCAR, there is no speedometer inside a car. Because if you think about it, if you saw yourself and that speedometer saying 198, 201, 175, it would literally, mentally, it freaks out with you. But the RPMs basically starts to let you know exactly where you are and where you stand. And now, of course, things are getting more high-tech inside the cars. But, Stuart, I can't wait for the practice session. I can't wait to just the roar of the cars, knowing that we're getting that much closer to the racing season. And obviously for Arca Menard Series, for not only having you guys and everybody out there as well to be able to practice, but just to be partnered up with you guys at CGM. This is going to be a year like no other.
Well, I can tell you, next week when we talk next Wednesday for Fast Chat, you will be talking almost about the amazing awe that you had at Daytona. We're going to be in this legendary speedway, watching cars run close to 200 miles an hour, 2 inches apart. And you're going to be in there smelling the race fuel, smelling the burn rubber. I mean, it's going to be an experience you've never had before. And I'm looking forward to experiencing that with you tomorrow.
I appreciate it. Vaughn, by the way, Ryan Vaughn says, love how you're bringing local sports to life with such passion. Have you ever considered joining live chats? Ryan, I will reach out to you after the show. Definitely. So therefore you can join me one day here on the network, but appreciate it. He's watching in from LinkedIn, but I will definitely reach out to you, Ryan, so you can come in one day on the show. And because I always appreciate people that want to come in and share their stuff. Listen, that's why we're Southwest Florida's newest leader in town, because it's what we do. We try to make sure that everyone here in Florida can enjoy what happens here locally, so the rest of the world knows what's happening. Because Florida knows that Florida they got a hard time the last 4 years, but pish posh applesauce, we let that go by the wayside. But Stuart, thank you for joining me. I can't wait to sport one of the caps as well. I think I'm just going to put your shirt on a photocopier so I can just wear it at the track. But
we'll have something for you to wear. You can't be in the pits and not sport CGM tomorrow, so we'll have something for you tomorrow. But man, we love racing, we love sports, and anything I can do to share with anybody, it's just a blast to talk it. I love getting on here and talking racing. It just makes me excited, and I can't wait to get to the track tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be so well worth it. I hope you guys have a safe trip out there from Lakeland. Don't be surprised, though, if you guys open up the hauler and I happen to be inside before you guys get to Daytona. But no, listen, have fun. I appreciate it. Make sure, obviously, you get plenty of rest, because it is, it's going to be exhilarating. The next 2 days, it's going to be a blur before we know it. And then, obviously, to make the track back to Lakeland. The good thing is that we're heading up there without the rain that's coming on Saturday. So thankfully, the testing is Thursday and Friday, and zero precipitation, I should say. So it's going to be fantastic. But Stuart, say hello to Jason, the rest of the gang out there at City Garage Motorsports. We appreciate your time.
See you tomorrow, buddy. Everybody have a great day. Look for CGM Car 85.
Indeed. So there is Stuart. He is with, of course, out there in Lakeland, Florida, City Garage Motorsports. And as I mentioned, as he has also put out there on social media, follow him on social media, folks. It's so easy to do so. Go to sr1029thegame.com. You will see the dedicated page for City Garage Motorsports. And as the season progresses, there'll be more and more content that's going to be put out there. But follow the gang. Follow them. There's t-shirts that are available right through citygaragemotorsports.com. You guys go out there, support the team. There's nothing better when you support a local team, a local product, and that you can be a part of said team. So when they do make it up into the beloved NASCAR series, where everybody has seen the great racers, Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, just when you guys are able to see these guys, we hope that is the direction that City Garage Motorsports, car number 85, in the future, car number 50 is going to be up there. It's going to be such a great time. I can't wait for that green flag to drop, but more importantly, to see the practice, hear the roar of the engines. You guys have no idea if you've never been to a track, and I've been to many of them, but it'll be the first time I'll be inside the track itself, meaning on the inskirts, right by pit row. There is nothing like when they tell you to fire up them engines. There's nothing like it. So thanks once again to Stuart, City Garage Motorsports. Don't forget, you guys can visit citygaragemotorsports.com. All right. As we got into it, and again, thanks to Ryan for that, for the message. Again, I do appreciate it. But yes, I will reach out to make sure that you know how to join in on the live chat. So I will make sure I'll make a note of it as well. But you guys had watched the video I started playing prior to Stuart coming on board, and Jerry Jones just sounding like he was blabbing. When he said, I'll pay you, but then I won't pay you because if you get to the Super Bowl, then I'll pay you 75%. I don't know what sense that made at all, literally. Jerry Jones and Jerry's world is really gone sideways. I don't know why, but it's really gone sideways. All I want is for the teams that are looking for head coaching positions and openings, take their time, especially for Chicago folks. Take the time. All right. As speaking of ARD, by the way, that'll be up there on the site as well here, as I gotta have to have more things there sorted out. Can't wait to be with you all at testing. I know Dylan had an appointment this morning, but thankfully he was able to chime in before his appointment, so we do appreciate it. But yes, there'll be a lot more coverage this NASCAR season right here on SR1029thegame.com, along with Auto Racing Digest as well, as they are heavily involved with IMSA Racing. Check out ARD as well. Duncan Dad says, let me bring up his comment. Jerry Jones did a really good acting job on Landman, Paramount Plus. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, Duncan Dad, I have not telling this dude, I don't even know what to say about Jerry Jones anymore. I really don't. And again, it's a shame that he's not allowing Mike McCarthy to interview. I don't understand that either, but we're going to take another break here. Make sure we take care of our sponsors as our sponsors take care of us here. So we will take our second break in the morning. It is 11:22 here in Tampa Bay, Florida, where it is 49 degrees. I know it's much colder up north, getting up to about 55 degrees, but we appreciate your comments. We appreciate your text, as Joey B laughs at Duncan Dad's comment. And don't forget, you can also make your comments here on the social medias, on Facebook, Twitter, where else am I? LinkedIn, Rumble, and over, of course, on our live web player directly on our website. So we'll be back right after these messages. This is, as soon as it comes up here, this is Martinez Company on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody. It's Pete Shepard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com, or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't just follow us on the socials. Call or text. Don't just follow us. Download.
The music was supposed to play there, or not the music, excuse me. The bumper guy should have come back, and for some reason, bumper guy didn't come back. But nonetheless, thank you all for tuning in to Martinez Company here live on the Coastal Sports Network. Sports Radio 102.9 The Game. Don't forget, always check out the website at sr1029thegame.com. And you guys can go to each of our hosts' game buttons, as I will call it. But also, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, yesterday was the premiere launch of our USF 2023 graduate with his bachelor's in communications. It was our very own Josias Young with Young Life Radio. If you guys have missed it, you guys can also listen back to the radio-only version of the show yesterday. If, once again, you visit sr1029thegame.com, you click on Young Life Radio, and right there right next to their live radio player to the right, you guys will see the audio playback from his premiere show yesterday. He'll be back tomorrow at about 4 o'clock. So we'll have, if there is a scheduled change, I will make sure I post it out there on social media. But don't forget, he will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, a radio-only version, just before the Drive with Q, which he comes on from 5 to 6 p.m. Q will be back in the saddle this afternoon from 4 to 6, and I'm quite sure he's going to have a lot to get into, including Jermaine Jones, former NBA player, will be on right around 5:05 in the evening. So it'll be a great time to hearing Talking Hoops and his history with the NBA. Sometimes a little bit of gas comes up through your esophagus there, but nonetheless, later on will be the Beavs World from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And then closing out the night will be Talking Hoops from 8 to about 9, maybe a little bit after 9 o'clock. Of course, to get into NBA talk, WNBA talk, and G League, as Coach Mac likes to say, her G League babies. So they will be on later on this evening. You guys will see the promo going out a little bit later on for Talking Hoops. And all the content, once again, is available on SR1029thegame.com. Jay says, Duncan, that is correct. Jerry, amazing on Landman. And listen, Jerry Jones, he's just an absolute mess. All right. I had mentioned prior going to the break as well. Let me bring this back up. Where is it? I'm going to look for it here. So I'm going to bring up, but Jerry says, hold on before I bring out my notes here. But Jay says, but I think he was acting lots of truth to what he said. But listen, who the hell knows what goes on with Jerry Jones anymore? No offense to the guy, but I mean, at one point or another, someone's going to have to take over the helm out there in Dallas. You know, Dallas fans, y'all keep spending that money. Hopefully they'll get it right this time, because usually Dallas, and believe me, I love to do a huge thing. I don't even know what you want to call it. Usually I tease a lot when it comes to Jerry Jones and crew, but nonetheless, it's just, they should have drafted better. They didn't. I think it's the first time in a long time that Dallas really wasn't in the spotlight for the draft. Eagles did very well, but again, now it's coming up on a brand new year. We got a couple of weeks left here in the NFL season, the regular one, and then March 2nd, it'll be all over and done with. Everybody will start 0-0 all over again and then start going to the draft combine. Duncan Dad says that family speech really is something. In some ways, you think he wasn't really acting and just using the role as a way of saying what he thinks about his kids. Listen, who in God's green earth knows? Big show tonight. See you at 6, Angel. Yes, LFG. And I want to make sure, because if I do remember correctly, for this evening, we have, once again, Gary Myers, formerly played for, speaking about the New York Giants, that'd be a great conversation too with Gary Myers, but also he is a Hall of Fame voter. So this is going to be a really, really good conversation with Gary tonight. That will be right around maybe 6:30-ish, if not a little bit later on, or maybe even a little bit earlier. So I'll make sure that everybody's informed before it goes on. It says, bingo, from Duncan Dad, and followed by Dallas exposed, not the group exposed, taking me to the point of no return. It's taking everybody to the point of no return, honest to God. It doesn't make any sense. Eli, first ballot lock. Yeah. You know what, Duncan Dad? Yeah, I'd hate to say it, but yes. Listen, well-deserved. You can say whatever you want to. I know he got drafted by the Chargers, made a big stink about it, ended up with New York Giants, and ended up winning 2, like his brother. So, yeah, I will say 2. He's probably going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. All right, the lineup stock for the NFL. Obviously, the Tennessee Titans hold the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Big thing, as Jay says, Gary and I will discuss Eli, but the big thing is, obviously, with the GM being fired by Tennessee now holds that number 1 pick, which is scheduled between April 24th through the 26th in Green Bay, Wisconsin. April's not, I guess maybe up there in Green Bay is not too bad, but I guess depending on if it gets in Philly. When it happened, thankfully, it was beautiful weather when it happened in Philadelphia. And everything obviously was outside, except for a couple of museums where you guys can go inside and kind of take a look around. But it will be really, really interesting to see because from what I understand, Green Bay is not that big of a town. So I'm just wondering what's the backup plan in case there is some sort of snowfall out there in Green Bay. So that's coming up between the 24th and the 26th out there in Green Bay. And the draft, the first round draft order is as follows. Tennessee Titans obviously being 3 and as the messages are coming in fast and furious. Titans are coming in first at 3 and 14. Browns in second at 3 and 14. Speaking about teams and possibly a crap show, A lot of them would end up being with the Cleveland Browns. They're going to have to figure out, supposedly with Deshaun Watson, he hasn't improved. He's, from what I understand too, he's not as healthy and not still on track to get back to be able to get back to where he used to be. So I'm just wondering. Again, there's messages that are coming fast and furious. Sorry, you guys. The thing is that you have the Browns who are in a situation right now that they got to figure out what to do next. You have, Jameis Winston right now is still out there in Cleveland. Could Jameis Winston be pulled somewhere else? You guys had heard me talk about Bryce Young. Bryce Young now has fulfilled his contract with the Carolina Panthers. Do the Panthers bring back Bryce Young? Does Bryce Young get shopped around? So the Cleveland Browns sitting in second at 3-14, do they trade up to Tennessee? You're only trading up one to get either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. There's also an article out there saying that they believe that Cam Ward, they would make a case and point an argument that Cam Ward is a lot better of a quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. But listen, everybody's going to speculate. Everybody's going to say whatever they want to say. And who knows? And speaking about saying stuff, if you guys are in the chill right now and you want to know where to get, as I have right here, the best coffee in the nation, freshroastedcoffee.com. Put in the discount code MAC20, as in Michael Alpha Charlie 20. MAC20 is the discount code you want to put in when you visit freshroastedcoffee.com. From dark roast to decaf, to those who just like the regular hot stuff, visit freshroastedcoffee.com. Stay warm with a hot, fresh, roasted coffee from freshroastedcoffee.com. Don't forget, put in your discount code for your 20% off MAC20, MAC20, and you guys have it delivered to the house. You don't have to leave. It's cold out. Have them deliver it right to your door. Take out that bag, open it up, smell those nice, fresh coffee beans. Put it in your grinder, let it drip, and just taste it. I have some right now, which is a good time for me to actually take a sip, but I can because I'm on the air at the moment. All right. Before I continue on with the picks here, Jay says, well, let me go back because everybody's just getting really into it right now. Yes, Titans, a mess. What a shit show. Jay then follows up with bowling pin league with so many dumb teams, hashtag the NFL. Follows it up with Bryce Young staying, just finished second year, and Canales has him playing very well. So I don't know. Jay, we'll discuss it tonight, but I got a funny feeling. Dave Canales, listen, everybody knows that Dave Canales worked with Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield has turned out to be a hot commodity. And he's been doing really, really well, has gotten that team fired up. Even Tom Brady himself, if you guys missed the post-game interview, because Tom was down here over the weekend with the Tampa game against New Orleans, the Bucs are going to have to figure out what to do with Baker Mayfield. And now, I mean, they have problems, good problems, but financial problems they're going to have to figure out. Baker Mayfield, Godwin, Evans. Thankfully, they picked up, they have McMillan now in the house. They have Bucky Irvin in the house, along with a couple other guys. But there's financial decisions that are going to have to be made that would have to either keep the guys here intact, but I got a funny feeling that Godwin, Gaspon Guy, and I talked about it on Monday. I think that Godwin is going to be the one that's going to be shown the door, but they need to lock up Baker Mayfield for at least another 2 years, maybe an option for a third. But Dave Canales resurrected Baker Mayfield's career. Maturity definitely was there, but made him a better athlete and a much better quarterback. So the other comments here by Duncan Dad, the fact that Shedeur Sanders could be the number one pick tells you all you need to know about the state of the NFL. Great, great factual point by Duncan Dad. Absolutely facts by Duncan Dad. And by the way, I miss having Duncan Dad on the show. I know he's still a little bit under the weather. Hopefully I'll get him on come next week. If not, maybe on, no, I want to see on Friday, because Friday it might be a whole different story, but definitely for next week. And soon we'll be talking more news here about Duncan Dad as well. So I'll just leave that right there. Jay says Saints a mess, Colts the same. Listen, I don't understand what the heck is going on with the Colts. Colts are another one. They're such in disarray. But they keep saying there's nothing wrong with Shane Steichen. Maybe they know something better than we know, but they still have Anthony Richardson. What are you going to do there? That was filled with drama. Maybe they like drama. I don't know. Just saying. Duncan Dad says, yeah, Young stays in Carolina. Richardson is a bust that I just mentioned, but Duncan Dad talks about it. Liam Coleman is a hot name right now as well. Jay, if you're still listening, I know you're off to work as well, but I'm almost starting with Chicago that reached out to Tampa Bay to be able to interview Liam Cohen, and he has become a big name. That would be another one that first you lost Dave Canales to a head coaching job. And listen, he's got a lot of work to do in Carolina, but he got that team back on the upright towards the end part of the season. So Dave Canales is not going to go anywhere with Carolina, but I'm wondering to see who's going to be the one that want the services of Liam Cohen because he is good. Obviously, I think Detroit, even if Detroit doesn't make it, which I don't see it not happening, but even if Detroit doesn't make it to the Super Bowl, there's going to be a couple of their coordinators who are probably going to end up losing because of the hot commodity they turn out to be. Duncan Dad says, can we throw a little prayer up for all the California folks? Those fires and winds are no joke. 4 fires now, all the way down to Malibu. Yeah, I mentioned it at the top of the program, Duncan Dad, but yes, we can always mention it as well. Again, listen, when you guys, no one loved, first of all, let's just say, let's hopefully, including the firemen, the men and women that are out there fighting the fires, to make sure that we don't lose anyone from the community and that we don't lose any animals, because animals have just as much compassion as a human. So we want to make sure we don't lose any of the animals. But if you guys know this fire is coming your way, do yourself a favor. You can't stand there as much as we would all love. That would like me standing in a hurricane with a shield in front of my house. Don't wet your house. Just, don't try to play fireman. If it's coming, get whatever you can, important documents, especially your family and your pets, get out of harm's way. There were so many cars that had blocked the firefighters coming through that I saw this morning on the news when I was up at Dark 30, that they were pushing the cars out of the way with a dozer because they couldn't get the fire trucks to come up the street. People were basically running out their cars because the smoke had overpowered them. And so they were just trying to run. They had no place to go. So to everyone out there in California, be safe. God bless. Let's hope somehow or another this will get controlled. But 5 fires, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. And I dare I say, I think it's the closest it's ever come to the city of Los Angeles. And there's friends and families that people have out there. And let's just hope. Prayers out to California. And again, to the men and women fighting those fires. Tampa Bay needs to lock up Cohen. Can't let him walk. I would think so too, Duncan Dad. And I'm pretty sure your lovely lady would also like to say that she wants him to stay behind as well. But I hope not. I hope he ends up staying here. Joey B says, NFL will fix it all by having Dion as a coach of the Raiders and sure wind up in Vegas with Daddy. I got a funny feeling that's what it's going to end up being. And I know we had Pete and I, or it might even been Rich and I had argued about it. And of course, in a loving way, not, where we cut each other's throats or anything else to that crazy nonsense. But, it comes down to, I know, and I know Joey B had mentioned about this too about 2 months ago, saying that it's going to sell seats, and it is. If being all honest, you put Deion Sanders in Vegas, of course, you Reliant Quest Stadium or not Reliant Quest, I'm thinking down here in Tampa Bay, but Allegiant Stadium is going to be completely filled to the gills if that's the case. If Shador and Deion end up in Vegas, it is. I mean, you'll probably end up making the money that you end up losing throughout the entire season. So I'll leave it at that. But I think that's a route that's probably going to happen. Jay says Baker signed, Godwin gone. That's the big thought. The same thing Gas Pump Guy I thought about. Thoughts on the new TGL, the new golf league last night on ESPN using simulators. Clunky, but I see the interest in it. No, that's a good point. Gas Pump Guy says, by the way, before I get into the TGL, don't you wish harm to the Bucks? Liam needs to stay in Tampa. Listen, I'm not Gas Pump Guy. More than anybody that, I've been on board here with the Bucks this season because it's tough not to be, but Liam needs to stay. But he has a hot ticket right now. As far as the TGL, I was kind of surprised when I heard about it, but apparently there were viewers. There were people that were tuned in. They wanted to see it. Listen, you have a lot of golf aficionados that are out there, a lot of folks that love golf. It didn't seem bad. I mean, you had a 24-foot screen simulator that the guys were obviously hitting the ball into. And then I thought that was more interesting was that you have the regular tee, basically the sand trap, and then the rough, which I thought it was pretty cool. And then what ends up happening is, obviously, once the ball gets to a certain distance, now wherever it lands closer to the pin, over to the hole, what ends up happening is the floor apparently has like jacks or something in it. And what ends up happening is it starts to simulate how the ball would lay. And obviously when it's coming, so it's not like you're going into like a flat surface all the time. It's like, okay, I got it. It actually changes the trajectory of that ball. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Apparently Tiger Woods, obviously he loved it. I believe he's one of the partners as well, but it's a short one. I think if I remember, Joey, it ends like in March. It's not around that long, but it's probably long enough because then obviously golf season picks up all over again. But it could be a hot commodity. What's to say that and I know my wife will say something over there in Studio B, but what's our simulating place where you can go out to hit golf balls? And it'll come to me. It'll definitely come to me. But who's to say that this all of a sudden doesn't become a thing, or that you find your next, whiz kid out of the PGA when they go around and they find themselves in that simulator? So I think it's going to be interesting. I caught a little piece of it, and I thought it was fun. It's different. It's almost like watching indoor bowling. I know it's two different sports, but I mean, it seemed like a sizable crowd. And depending on how much they hype it up, it could be even bigger. So they're testing it out. I think it's going to be a success nonetheless. Jay says, as he comes in here, I'm trying to finish out the draft picks here, but Jay says, Mayfield signed through 2026, makes 35 and 45 the next 2 years. I thought that I could have sworn, Jay, that he was done after, listen, what do I know? I thought he was done after this year, but okay, listen, that's good. That's definitely good. Maybe they extend him a little bit longer. Mike Evans also will stay too. Yeah, Mike's not going anywhere, but they really, listen, Glacier family, I know you guys may not listen to the show, and maybe I'll send you guys a copy of this one little segment. You guys need to spend money. Now, at the same time, I'm also the same guy that's saying don't be spending money into the billions and trillions, but do Mike Evans right. I think he really outperformed his contract this season. I mean, 11th season in a row, over 1,000 yards. He was able to do it, even though he came back from injury and was able to do so. But to me, he pay Mike Evans. Everybody loves him here. I wish the only thing, Glacier family, that's the other thing as well, while we're at it, Gasparilla is right around the corner. Why on God's green earth do you not have at least a few of the Bucks players on the Gasparilla float? I don't understand it. That is the opportunity. And by then the season's over. Super Bowl's over. Why don't you guys have, I don't care if it's Mike Evans, Bucky Irvin, I don't know, your kicker, whatever. At least bring these guys out so they can connect with, I'll be in touch, Bucks. I'll be in touch. You guys need to do just a tad bit better to be more connected in the community. Learn from Jeff Finnick. Jeff Finnick has Tampa right in the palm of their hands, and he doesn't even own the Amalie Arena. He is leasing that thing, but has done so many upgrades, you don't even have to be a Lightning fan. You go down to Amalie Arena one time, you'll fall in love with the place. And Jeff Finnick has done that. Now he's stepping down as majority owner. He's still going to be around. But what other owner have you ever heard that's given away 6-figure bonuses to people with the money that he's made to take care of those who have taken care of him? Learn, Glacier family. I'm not bringing you guys down by any means because you guys have done well here in Tampa. Just lift it up just a little bit more. Bring the guys out during Gasparilla. Do just that little bit more because our birds in Philly, we're heavily involved in the community. Even during the offseason, I would say maybe at the end until maybe the beginning of March might be the only time you don't hear from many Eagles, you will hear from at least one or two, but they still go out, autographs, meet the community, go out and do stuff. So I'm just saying, you can do a little bit better. Hang on for a second, folks. As I take a nice swig from Fresh Roasted Coffee, don't forget, visit freshroastedcoffee.com. Put in your discount code MAC20, MAC20. If you're trying to figure out what it is, it's Martinez Company 20, MAC20 for 20% off your first order and every order after that for some fresh roasted coffee, whether you like Colombian, Brazilian, American teas, freshroastedcoffee.com. Visit them. Discount code MAC20. All right. Mike Evans not going to go anywhere. Fire and water wait for no one. Yep. As Duncan Dan was talking about it. The Steve Guttenberg Police Academy video, amazing. I missed that one. So I have to go back and take a look at it. Do this class, but this is above and beyond. So I have to go back and take a look. I'll mess you guys afterwards. Jay says Liam only leaves for a head coaching job, likely a year away. He is behind the Lions coordinators and Flores. Yeah, Brian Flores is going to get picked up by somebody. That whole fallout that he had with Miami, that didn't make any sense to me either, but who knows? Brian Flores, I think, has a great football mind, and to me, he is going to become a head coach again. All right, getting back to our picks here. New York Giants at 3-14. They are third in the draft order. I know that my hermano, the driver Q, he'll talk about it later on from 4 to 6 p.m., but the Giants also are another team. If you're the GM, how much has it kicked you in the behind this season watching what Saquon did when you thought there was no reason to pay Saquon? Giants, how did that work out for you guys when you all believed that Danny Dimes is the reason why you didn't pay Saquon Barkley? Okay. 3-14, that says it all. New England Patriots at 4-13. Of course, they let go of their head coach, Gerard Mayo. More stories are coming out of things that he didn't do right. But again, you really have to look at, did they set up Gerard Mayo for success? Or did they know, for whatever odd reason, he just wasn't doing well enough as a head coach, and no one wanted to bail him out? It doesn't make any sense. If we're going to do the picks tomorrow, I will let you know, Gaspam Guy, if we're going to end up doing the picks tomorrow or Friday, because tomorrow's Thursday. I will definitely let you know, but pardon me, excuse me. New England Patriots, Gerard Mayo, he's out. Now they got to figure out who's going to be in. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Whoever takes over New England, they're going to have to fix the house. I mean, big time. They're going to have to fix up all the screw-ups that went on there this year. Pete will let you know how fired up he was, and he thought that obviously Gerard Mayo should be let go. There was someone locally in Boston that had made, thank you guys for by. He says, great show. I like the conversation with Stuart. I appreciate it. There was a, I don't know if he's on radio in Boston, but I know he had mentioned it like halfway through the season that Gerard Mayo was going to be let go by the next game. He wasn't obviously waiting to the end. I just thought it was odd they did it on Sunday, but nonetheless, New England's going to have a lot of problems. Jacksonville Jaguars, Mia O'Brien, she was on with us this morning on the Pete Shepard show, and she had mentioned how Shad Khan had kept Trent Baalke, but that's going to be another mess too, because whoever comes to Jacksonville, they're going to want full control of what goes on. And if it gets to the point where you have to start going down to, I don't know, there is no Division 21 in football, but if there was a Division 21 in football, if that's the coach you're looking for, it may not play out so well for Jacksonville. As also, Jacksonville is getting ready to spend a boatload of money renovating that stadium they have over there because they want to host another Super Bowl in the future. Raiders, you guys heard me talking about, they are the 6th one in the pick. They just let go of Antonio Pierce. New York Jets, 5-12, 7th pick in the draft order. Problems with Aaron Rodgers. He already had mentioned he's going to take a couple days, kind of think about it, get together with the brass so he doesn't extend. Do I believe it? Nope. I think this will carry out till March. It's already, January 8th? Not saying that obviously it couldn't happen. I think if he gets to a point where he wants to do, anything, And I don't, honestly, I didn't even see what team would be desperate enough for Aaron Rodgers' services. I don't see it. You already heard Devontae Adams talked about, they asked him the question if he's going to be back next season. He said he has no idea. If it's the right fit, then yeah. Do I believe? Aaron Rodgers is gone, so is Devontae Adams. And I think, honestly, even if Aaron Rodgers wanted to, I would think Devontae Adams want to go somewhere else. The Jets need to fix their problem. Is Rex Ryan the solution for the New York Jets? We'll see. 8th, Dave Canales, you guys had heard me mention about that not too long ago, 5-12. Bryce Young, resurrected career. They made themselves look better. They have the 8th pick, finished up 5-12. New Orleans Saints, who lost against Tampa Bay, the final regular game of the season against Tampa Bay. They have the 9th pick, finished up at 5-12. Chicago Bears, round out the top 10, 5-12, 10th pick. San Fran, who just let go, was a coordinator. Let me go back to my notes. Yep, who fired defensive coordinator Nick Sorensen. That was about 13 hours and plus in some change. So they let him go. Let me go back to where I was. Also, Gaspam guy just came in with a text. You guys, the texts and comments are coming in fast and furious. Hey, do you think if Panthers let Young go, I think he would be a good backup to Baker and let Trask go finally? Okay. I will agree that yes. Does Kyle Trask need to be let go from Tampa Bay? Yes. Let's be honest, folks. Let's be 1,000% honest. Kyle Trask is not an NFL quarterback. He's just not. Not saying he can't go to NFL Europe or maybe even to one of the indoor or outdoor arena leagues or the UFL to try and fix himself. But if Tampa Bay is trying to get back to just a couple years ago, they were separated from the Super Bowl. Kyle Trask is not a backup quarterback. He's not even a practice quarterback. Just putting it out there open and honestly, he's not. That may not be a bad deal, but I think, Jay's already said it. Duncan Dad has already said it that, Carolina's not going to let him go. I don't know, but it wouldn't be bad. Having Bryce Young here as a backup QB, it wouldn't be bad because they're going to need somebody behind Baker for next season. They are definitely going to need somebody behind him. Aaron Rodgers, according to Duncan Dad, is the new Brett Favre. Hold the team hostage because you think you are the only answer to their quarterback needs. Dude was great. At one point, he's cooked and his locker room distraction. He is. Louis Riddick doesn't play those games. And I completely believe that, Duncan Dad. I hope Louis Riddick, and I don't know, I had mentioned it before too. Is Rex Ryan convinced that he's the next head coach because Louis Riddick becomes a GM in New York? Like it's a tandem duo? I don't see it. Louis Riddick will definitely be the best candidate for New York Jets to get that team back to somewhat greatness. It's not going to be next season. I mean, they're not the Commanders. Don't get me wrong. They're definitely not the Redskins. Dan Quinn came in there, guns a-blazing, and who knew the kind of season that the Redskins were ending up having? For those who don't know, they also consider themselves the Commanders. But those of us who love the old Redskins name, we can always end up calling that because there's no harm or foul into it, especially when the Native Americans are trying to come back and telling the NFL, we want the name back, and rightfully so. It should be back to the Washington Redskins. Everybody misses the logo, and hopefully no one ever threw out their gear either with it. I guess one guy says he's never liked Trask. Nope, me either. I just think he wasn't the right fit for Tampa Bay. The 11th pick, San Fran at 6-11. You guys just heard me talk about their defensive coordinator being let go. Bad season. Brock Purdy. Is anybody on the other side of the fence and not believing that maybe Brock Purdy either regressed or was he not what he was hyped up to be? Now he came in, listen, don't forget, on the draft, just 2 years separated, they had picked up what they said was their guy for the future. Here comes Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the NFL draft, and turned things around and upside down out there to where at a point Jimmy Garoppolo no longer had a job. Their draft pick no longer had a job. Brock Purdy ends up taking over. And then we didn't see the Brock Purdy that we saw take San Fran to the Super Bowl last year. Now, granted, of course, there were injuries too that hurt the 49ers. But if Brock Purdy has another season like he did just past season, and that include the Shanahan head coach, if San Fran were to start, let's go with 2-4 for next season. Is there a replacement as the quarterback? And has Shanahan finally figured out that he's just not a good enough head coach? We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see how they come back healthy next year, and we'll see how they do in the draft. The Cowboys at 7-10, 12th pick, and let's not forget too, and remind everyone, Mike McCarthy, number one, has obligated his length of his contract. He is now done officially with the Cowboys, but Jerry Jones denied him to talk with the Chicago Bears. And also, let's not forget that Dak Prescott did say in an interview with Fox, now that he's got his millions, now the next thing is to win the Super Bowl. How did that work out for you, Cowboys fans? Just saying. Duncan Dad says, Brock Purdy is exactly who we knew who he was, a game manager who thrives with a full complement of talent and a staunch defense. He cannot single-handedly affect the outcome of a game. Great point, Duncan Dad. Great point. And that's why Duncan Dad joins me when he's nice and healthy. But that's a great point. Absolutely great point. Atlanta at 8-9, 15th in the draft order. Michael Penix Jr. now takes over. Is that the biggest bust of the NFL 2024 season when you handed all that money to Kirk Cousins? He plays, 9 games, $90 million, and now you're going to take a major draft cap hit if you shop his services around and or if you cut them all together. If you knew he was not going to be your quarterback in the future and Michael Penix was going to be, and you guys knew he was available during the draft, why, Atlanta? But the draft that you guys have done for the last 2 or 3 years also hasn't been very smart. You guys had all kinds of problems going on, and you chose just 2 years ago the number 1 running back in the draft. Your defense needed a ton of work. You needed a quarterback. You needed to fix your O-line. But you guys went, so the running back was supposed to carry the entire team. I may say that facetiously, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, Cincinnati Bengals at 9-8, they finished up with a win at the end of the regular season. Pick number 17, Joey Burrow, banged up a little bit throughout the season, decided to look like Eminem in the beginning of the year. Just be you, Joey Burrow. Don't fall under peer pressure like you should come out looking like this or that or faster statements. Just go back to being you. Baker Mayfield is now Baker Mayfield. He had enough pressure going on with Cleveland, and he was shopped around, went to different places. Just be you, Joey Burrow. That's it. That's my best, the best thing I could say. Seattle Seahawks, supposedly, head coach said Geno Smith is their guy. They have the 18th pick, finished up 10-7. Geno hit 3 $2 million bonuses at the final game of the regular season. But Seattle says Geno Smith, for now, is their guy. Houston Texans finished up 10-7, 19th. And who would have thought that the way DeMeco Ryans and what he did with the Houston Texans last year was an utter surprise to everyone. Then it was kind of an up and down season. Nonetheless, though, DeMeco does not finish under 500. 10-7 is how he finishes with the 19th pick. But the Texans didn't look like the Texans of last year. Still in the playoffs, but they don't look that way. Speaking of, Denver Broncos, who finished 10-7, had to win to get in, end up doing so, shellacked the Kansas City Chiefs. Not that it mattered for the Chiefs. Other than the record, that was the only thing. Honestly, you finish up no matter what, 15-2. Andy Reid has become a super genius since leaving Philly, winning 4? Could be going for his 5th in Kansas City. But Denver right now with the 20th pick, they're going to need some help as well. But Bo Nix, out of all the quarterbacks that came out of that draft class, Bo Nix ended up being the better one in 2024. Rookie of the year? I'd say so. Pittsburgh Steelers 21st, 10-7. They are going to face the Baltimore Ravens. Russell Wilson, who came back healthy, people had kind of questioned what he was going to do, leaving from Denver, heading to Pittsburgh. How he was going to make out? So far, so good, my opinion. You also have Justin Fields. 22nd is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are 10-7. Baker Mayfield will need some more help defensively. I think if you're looking at the corner help, Tampa Bay is going to need it, but they're also going to need, dare I say, as Gaston Guy had pointed out as well, if you find yourself a veteran quarterback as your backup or someone that you believe is fine, I would pick up probably another running back to complement Bucky Irvin. The Rams, 23rd at 10-7. They were banged up a lot this year, but the Rams still finished over 500 with 23rd pick. Los Angeles Chargers, who are in the playoffs, 11-6, 24th pick. Green Bay as well, 25th pick in the NFL draft for 2025. Finished up 11-6. They are facing the Philadelphia Eagles. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, that a lot of folks are worried about Jalen Hurts because it's Green Bay and nothing's come about it. I have never felt 100% confident in saying that I believe Nick Sirianni definitely has a plan, and that plan is going to be Tanner McKee. 25th pick. Commanders, Redskins, 26th pick. And matter of fact, as I'm saying that, Nick Sirianni right now, oops, it went away. Let me see if I can bring it back. Head coach is meeting with the reporters ahead of Sunday's wildcard game. I'll bring that up a little bit later on. He is that's what NBC Sports Philly. And Gaspam says, Gaspam guy says, "Come on, Angel. No Bucky. You know Bucky Irvin has to be Rookie of the Year." Listen, he does, Gaspam guy. But I mean, look at what Bo Nix did. That's going to be a 1-2er. If you're going to come down, we mentioned like your top 4. That is going to be a tough one. And he agrees. They need an edge rusher in secondary. So we'll see. Ravens 27th. They are facing, as I just mentioned, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lamar Jackson had mentioned that he said he feels that the only reason why they can't get over that playoff hump is because he's antsy and waiting for the game to actually happen. So we'll see what happens there. 28th pick will be the Buffalo Bills. They finished up 13-4 in the playoffs. Some people have them picked to knock off the defending champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know. Buffalo's tried year after year. They haven't been able to do so. This could be the year that they finally do it, but I don't know. Nothing's to say that it can't come from the West Coast. Eagles, 14-3, are playing once again the Washington Commanders on Sunday, 4:25 start, the 29th pick in the draft. Minnesota Vikings, 14-3. They are 30th. And Minnesota's quite dangerous, even though they lost against Detroit, but maybe they were also exposed last Sunday with the final game of the regular season. Also, now some breaking, developing news. UNC's Bill Belichick has heard from multiple teams, including Raiders minority owner Tom Brady, to gauge interest in the NFL return. That was mentioned before, folks. It was mentioned before. And Jay talked about, obviously, I mean, it would, think about it. If Tom Brady is able to convince Belichick to leave, and again, I think it's like a $2 million hit he would take. But and who knows if he doesn't insert his son, if he decides to leave, that is going to be a hot take. And I'm pretty sure Maya and Mono will get into it a little bit later on with the Drive with Q from 4 to 6 p.m. But NFL just end up breaking it. Multiple teams reaching out to Belichick. So we'll see. Gaspam guy, as I finish up the picks here, he says, I do agree on both, but I got to go vote for Bucky, LOL. Listen, I'm not taking away from Bucky Irvin. He had a phenomenal year. But again, Bo Nix is right there alongside with him. So the Kansas City Chiefs, 31st pick in the draft, 15-2. Guys, they just heard me talking about it. They are looking for the first time ever any NFL team in the modern era to win back-to-back championships. And at the rate they're going, that could be a probability. And then the 32nd pick in the NFL draft, Detroit Lions, 15-2. They have the number 1 seed, and everyone will have to go through Detroit. All right. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone who tuned in today, especially for Stuart Weiss joining me from City Garage Motorsports. We are getting amped up as the NASCAR season is right around the corner. More importantly, the ARCA Menard Series for 2025. Pecca Monopoly, the driver of the number 85 car, as they named it Storm. This is going to be interesting. Don't forget, you can follow every part of the action this year on SR1029thegame.com. Also visit City Garage Motorsports. Pick up your t-shirt. Support this team. And just if you happen to have $250 lying around, how about putting your company brand, your company logo on the car? Because when they qualify and they're in the Great American Race weekend, when they go down the pit row, your logo will be up there on the car. I will completely lose my crap. to put it in the cleanest terms ever, if the logo ends up on the car. Honestly, because it has been a dream of mine. I was able to sign, Dale Earnhardt had a car, and I forget the name of the painter. If I remember, I'll bring it out there. But if you were, I think it was the first 100 people that if you put your signature, it was on the car. And it was on the car. It's the first time you ever raced a multicolored car. But my name, my signature was on that car. And I was a content fan. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen this year with City Garage Motorsports. So I thank Stuart for joining me. He'll be with me every single Wednesday throughout the 2025 season. Obviously, we had a break during the holidays, but we're all back. Duncan Dad said, a hot take, Broncos have a real chance to beat Buffalo this weekend. Absolutely true. And once again, don't forget to visit SR1029thegame.com. Listen to all the content. When the shows are live, make sure you guys are paying attention to where it says on the air now. So make sure you pay attention to that. Yesterday, I know when I had the show with Young Life Radio, it had Q's picture up there. That's because I had to do a scheduling change on the radio platform itself. But nonetheless, check out all the great content. As soon as the shows are over, I try to do my best to put them up on instant replay. So therefore, everybody can turn around. And as Duncan Dad says, LFG out there with a couple exclamation points, as I can't wait for this City Garage Motorsports to end up taking off. But thank you once again. Don't forget, you can always leave your comments behind as well. You can always text the studio at 727-858-6650. Let us know how we're doing. There's also on the homepage, you can leave us feedback as well. Just let us know how we're doing here on the network. So with that being said, don't forget to Drive with Q, 4 to 6 p.m. with my hermano, Rich Quinones. After that, Beeves World from 6 to 7:30 p.m. with Gary Myers, former New York Giant Hall of Fame voter. Also, Beeve is in 2 of the books that he wrote. He is working on another book. Tom Brady's been in a book as well. So that would be from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And then Talking Hoops will close out the night here on the network from 8 till 9-ish, maybe a little bit afterwards. But they'll be on the air, Coach Johnson, Coach Mack, Doc Riley, talking NBA, WNBA, and G League. And with that being said, thank you all for supporting the network. We had a monstrous 2024 with numbers that were out of this world, and I can't wait to see what happens this year on the network in 2025. God bless. Take care of one another, and we'll talk to you later.